Congratulations, Stuart. I imagine that feels like quite a big point, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does actually. It was always going to be a hard game against a good opposition. Not the perfect start for us, and still we had to defend deep and wait for counter-attacks, and that was the rhythm of the game. But to get a point against the great teams, obviously amazing for us.
You mentioned there it was a tough start, wasn't it? At that point, did you think could be in for a long afternoon here? It looked though the change of shape had an immediate impact after that.
Yeah, we changed the shape quite quickly. And we did sit a little bit deeper to limit their chances. We knew it was a game like that. It's not obviously the way we love to play, but we gave them a bit of respect and knew that on the counter we could be dangerous. So yeah, it was about being patient and trying to get something from the game, and well defended at the end as well.
Yeah, well, eventually you did. You broke that Arsenal backline. Not too many people have done that this season, especially when they're away from home, to take us through the goal.
I think it was a break down the right, and Moyes done really well to cut inside, and I think we had a few numbers up there, so it was a lovely little slip pass, and just tried to take it away from the keeper. So very happy with that first goal of the season. So
it's the 11th time that Arsenal have conceded, and that's denied them all 3 points again, having, as we touched on, been in control in that first half. But unfortunately, both of your concerns that they hadn't made that count have actually told.
Yeah, I think it would have been Mikel's concern as well at half-time, because you always remember the game that's just gone. They had a midweek game, but the last Premier League game, you remember how in control they were against Leeds, and then how it went away from in the second half. Very similar. This time, Southampton got the goal. So, but tomorrow, when he's softened his view on it, he'll say it's a decent point at the end, because they could have lost that game in the end.
They were in front and they were in control. A lovely move as well, and you pointed out Granit Xhaka has been doing this a lot more in this season. Yeah,
I mean, he's been playing a little bit more of an advanced role, and you see him, he's kind of inside left with the orange boots on. Gets himself in a great position, and then, as Darren pointed out, it just slows down. He doesn't go into the box ahead of everybody else and into the defenders. Partey's position is just holding, and that allows Xhaka just to go, do you know what? There's no danger behind, that's covered, I can just make a run. And as I said, when he comes to his right foot, we didn't expect that, to be honest with you. Absolute rocket scene on the half volley, Darren, didn't he?
Yeah, lovely finish. As I said, the pace is on the cross. All he's got to do is make a good contact with it, and it does that. And his confidence, because he's got a good goal midweek in Europa with his right foot. And again, they're arriving. But I think the fact that he's got Thomas Partey sitting there, that allows Granit Xhaka to go in. And there were times where he's beyond Gabriel Jesus, who's the centre forward. But really, really good finish from Granit Xhaka there.
Now, those chances that you both talked about, particularly for Gabriel Jesus, one in each half. We showed one at half-time, and they had one in the second. He's at 1-0, which would have changed the complexion of the game.
Yeah, I think if Arsenal get the second one, it's game over. But again, Odegaard, great play, inventive, little scoop. But he just gets all his shin on it. He doesn't get a clean strike on it, because from that range, I mean, it's a really good play. From that range, yeah, if he gets any kind of power on it, he scores. But the fact that it comes off his shin is not a great one. But this is probably the one where I'm thinking, get your shot off. Again, Odegaard is involved, really nice way to pass. He does think, right, maybe he could take one more touch to his left a bit. But by the time he does shift it to his left-hand side, the chance is gone, and Elyounoussi already there. So, and when they show it from a different angle here, I mean, you see it here where he's going through, he just can't get out of his feet enough. Foot good one, stuck under his feet. He can't shift it enough to get a firm contact on it. And as I said, if that one goes in, 2-0, game over.
What about the way Arsenal conceded the equaliser?
Well, it's funny, because we talked about Partey's position to help out screening the back four and allowing Xhaka to get a little bit higher up the pitch. And we just see his position when the ball goes in. He gets involved on the right-hand side of the pitch, and that allows Armstrong just to continue his run. I mean, it's good play from Southampton, but Arsenal got men back. They allow runners into areas really dangerous. Just look at the position of Partey. He's shielding, he's got Armstrong in his view, but then he goes and wanders and gets involved on the right, and he's never going to catch him up. And just look at, again, Armstrong's run. It's straight, it's not an intelligent run, he's just running. And then Ben White can see him all day long. The second centre-back has got to go, do you know what, I'm in a dangerous position here, right in front of the goal. I have to go towards the ball. He can play him offside if he's in a decent position, but he's not, he's too deep. And so he has to go with the runner. And Armstrong just, as I said, it's one paced run from the edge of his box to scoring the goal. He doesn't go faster, he doesn't go slower, he just runs once, and that tells me that nobody's seen him coming. Sometimes when you see a runner coming at pace, you can go, right, I've got him, and it takes your eye, but because he ran at one pace, he just kind of wanders into a dangerous area.
No one even engages with him. No one lays a hand on him. He's got freedom of the whole half. That's your part. He gets attracted to the left-hand side, but it's just one straight run from Armstrong. No one really engages. I don't think anyone even sees him or even points at him until it's too late. I think Ben White at the very end is like, oh, there's a runner there. But by that time, Premier League football, you're in the box, they're going to finish it off. And Armstrong, to be fair, it's a really clever finish.
Well, you mentioned Ben White there. Let's get a defensive view from Arsenal, and here he is.
Disappointed are you all with that, especially after the way you started the game?
Yeah, obviously we started well, created loads of chances, should have scored more.
What happened in the second half? Why did you not have the same level of control?
Sloppy in possession, didn't win duels, you know, like the opposite to the first half, and I think that's why the game went the way it did.
Any idea what that's down to? Because that's very un-Arsenal-like, especially at the moment.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're only human, and it was tricky.
Tell me about that first 10 minutes, especially and the goal, your part in it. How good was the goal? How pleased were you with your contribution?
Yeah, obviously to be a part of it's amazing, but it's about the team, and unfortunately we didn't get the win today.
Well, the standards they've set, you can hear the disappointment.
Wow.
in Ben White's voice.
Did they get beat 8-0? I can't. He was a little. Yeah, that was a little bit over the top. You know, he's feeling what he's feeling, but you know, I still think that's a deep season when you play like that in the second half. You've got to take it on the chin and go, well, yeah, we didn't play great. Move on to the next one. But he was very, very down there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, what a first half of Sunday Premier League action that was. I'd love to ask Lee Dixon what he thought of Arsenal in the first 45 minutes, but with 8 goals to get through, we haven't got time for that. What a goal from Arsenal and Granit Xhaka.
It was. They started the game brilliantly well. Some of their link-up play, their enthusiasm, they pushed Southampton back right from the start, and Ben White, who's not his normal position, but great cross, brilliant pullback, and Xhaka with the right foot. But just look at Partey's position and Xhaka's position. We've seen him playing a little bit higher, and this is why. He's got the safety behind him, who's just covering all of that pitch. He can look at it, he can organise players, and that releases Xhaka just to go on the edge of the box, say, please pull it back. And he meets it absolutely beautifully. Great strike. We've seen him hit balls with his left foot, but this one just falls plenty. You'd have loved that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, lovely finish. Firm contacts on the ball. Really good position from him as well, because he doesn't go flying in there 100 miles an hour. Holds his position. Really, really good finish.
Could have been more?
Could have been, yeah, but this is all about Odegaard and the magic. Bit fortunate in the build-up, but this little bit of skill there, a little scoop over the defender. I mean, that deserves a goal. I mean, when you look at it from behind here, there's no space in there whatsoever. Quick 1-2, scoop, takes 2 players out of the game. But it's a bit of a shinny finish. If he gets a good firm contact, he scores. But it comes off the bottom of his shin. But again, great.
Remind you of anyone?
Yeah, that's Dennis Bergkamp's skill. You know,
high praise.
It is, because only certain players think about it. That comes to me, and I'm like trying to put it through his legs or something. I wouldn't have even thought of that. But the quickness of thought is something that Dennis would do.
Arteta talking there to Emma Saunders and Lee Dixon's former teammate Alan Smith. So top of the league, 9 wins from 10. They've got the second best defence in the record as well for Arsenal at the moment. As we know, Lee, the fullbacks just kind of full in. It's all about the centre halves, isn't it?
That's how it always has been.
So that's where we're going to focus. Saliba and Gabriel, brand new partnership. How impressed?
Yeah, I have. And centre-back partnerships take a while. People think, well, you both play in the same position. You should be able to, you know, complement each other, but we know how difficult that is, and it's such an important position because it's right in front of your goalie. You know, most of the time, everything straight in front of your goalkeeper is where all that happens, and as you said, the full-backs are kind of on the edge of that, but you do need to be a 4 together, but those two are really important, and I think they're starting to understand each other's games. Saliba's a proper footballer, he loves to be on the ball. Gabriel as well makes the odd mistake here and there, but I think the way that they play is very much, they seem to be aware of the other one. They seem to be aware of what's around them. The passing between each other has been always pretty good. Terrible passing there, but watch how they close ranks. They get together, they get in a position where, as you lose the ball, you should be getting narrower and towards your own goal, and the full-back should be coming in. Again, the distance between them, they're aware of where each other's is. And a lot of that is also to do with not having to look. If you start looking over your shoulder, so that telepathy that you get the best centre-halves don't even know where the other one is. And I think when you know your mate's in trouble, being in the right position, you have to be in front of the centre-forward there. The amount of times the centre-forward nips in between the two centre-backs and gets in front of that near post, that can't happen. And I think there's still a long way to go. And, again, the protection they're getting at the moment from Partey in front and Xhaka has been really good. They've got an understanding in midfield which benefits them. And Ben White, who can't get a game at centre-half, has done exceptionally well at right-back. And as Benty said before, the left-back position's full of quality with Zinchenko and Tierney, and now obviously Tomiyasu's playing in there. It just makes it a little bit more solid because he will literally challenge anybody. Ball boy, someone in the crowd, if they've got a ball near him, he'll go and tackle him. So that's a great asset to have as a fullback.
I must say, Gabriel signed a new long-term contract this week. They've had issues in this for a number of seasons. These two could be together for Arsenal for a number of years.
Absolutely, because as you said there, that at times has been maybe the weak point of Arsenal, where one comes in, doesn't do well. I mean, you go back to the start of last season where you had, I think it was Ben White and Pablo Mari, just didn't work, looked quite weak. But I'm a big fan of Ben White's, but he can't oust any of these two because of the connection that they've got. They're playing really well. But I think it's that whole goalkeeper, the two centre-halves and the two in front of them. I think that collectively, I think that will be the core of Arsenal's team going forward, hopefully for the next few years, because they're all quite young. Other than Xhaka, they're all quite young. They all understand their responsibilities. Arteta's given them confidence. And when you play with somebody, it's like a strike partner. I know you don't really play twos anymore, but when you play with someone week in, week out, automatically you just get that connection. It's not even sometimes anything you have to work with on the training ground. You just kind of feel it where, OK, he's over there, let me go and cover him a little bit. And I think that's equally as important as any position on the pitch. So I think for Mikel Arteta, he'll be happy with the two centre-halves and the spine of the team. But as you said there, they're still young. They've still got loads to learn. But as long as they keep improving, keep consistent, then there should be no issues there for Arsenal for the next few years.
What about the challenge of Southampton today? When Ralph Hasenhüttl is under pressure, he always seems to pull out a victory, doesn't he?
They do, and that's why they're dangerous. They always are that type of team. I think he'll be frustrated with the amount of consistency that his team produces, and that's something that you don't get on a Saturday. You get that Monday to Friday. It's like, how do we go from Monday to Friday and be better on the Saturday? It's what you do during training, the way you get your consistency from. As an individual, training every day and trying to be the best you can every day, but then all that teamwork you do in training, then you shouldn't be going out on game day thinking about anything. It should just be, we're just going to play a game of football. When you get a team at that level, that's when consistency starts to come. If you think it's like Leeds at the moment, they're thinking about what they're doing. They're thinking about how we're playing. Once you start doing that, you start getting inconsistent performances. Because sometimes it works, and other times well, we've seen you get the odd 9-0 now and again when it doesn't work. So training ground, training ground, training ground. Shay
Adams will be a loss to them today. Got that goal last week, really, really good header. And the fact that even when he's not scoring goals, because his record at Southampton isn't great, but he's always like a nuisance, a pest, he's strong. I always feel like he's better playing alongside somebody. Yeah. He does all the hard work, holds the ball really well, brings teammates in, someone else scores the goals. The fact that he's not there today, I'm pretty sure the two Arsenal centre-halves will be thinking, that's good. I know Adam Armstrong had a tough time, but Shay Adams, I think, is a different proposition. So that's a big blow for Southampton today.
Matchday Live, what a Sunday in prospect. 5 games to bring you, all in the company of Lee Dixon and Darren Bent. And a smiling Lee Dixon, because he's enjoying the start to this season after a few...
So is Darren Bent, he's enjoying it too.
Why is that?
Just a guess.
You've had a few torrid years watching your former club. How impressed are you with them at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere you go, people are stopping you in the street and talking about the start of the season, how well they're doing, are we going to win the league, are we going to do this, are we going to do that. I'm a little bit more pragmatic when I look at how they've done an exceptional job. I think we've all seen a kind of progression in the results and in the performances since Mikel took over. There's been a few dips here and there, but there's a process that we keep talking about, which I don't particularly like that word, but you can see what's happening, and I think the club should take a lot of credit for the way that they've gone about supporting the manager, because he's gone with them with this, young, I want to sign young players, under 23s, and they've backed him. They've spent a lot of money, and he's now producing something. I think Jesus was the one that kind of the cherry on the top to just complete the vision he's got to how he wants to play football, and we're all seeing the fruits of that. And I think it's exciting. It's all of those things, and I still kind of step back and go, only played 9 games, 10 games, whatever it is. Still got a long way to go. Do I think they're going to win the league? No. But I don't think they'll be far off second spot. I think we've seen enough of them now to be able to say, yeah, the bad games, which they had one last week against Leeds, didn't play particularly well at all. But how often in the past have we seen them grind out a 1-0 win when they're not played well? Not that often. So that's a big plus for me.
And from an opposition player's point of view, they used to be known as easy to play against, soft to play against. Have they got that respect back for the likes of Southampton today when Arsenal come to town?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the defensive unit that they've got now, working hard as a team defensively, because I always felt like it was individuals. It was like the back four look after themselves, the midfield, and then the forwards. There was no kind of cohesion together. But you look at them now, and certainly from the last time they went to Southampton, where they got beat 1-0 last season, night and day. I mean, you look at them now; they're hard to play against. There's a real connection between Gabriel and Saliba. They're working hard. They're talking. If Tierney plays or Zinchenko, there's a real relationship. And obviously Ben White, who we know is a centre half by trade, he's playing at right back. So they're certainly a lot harder to play against. And I think once you've got that stability in front of you, the likes of Thomas Partey, who, if he can stay fit, is so important. I think the nucleus is there. And, of course, I've not even mentioned Aaron Ramsdale, who's been fantastic vocally, putting them into positions where they need to be. I think teams are looking at Arsenal now and thinking, yeah, at times you might be able to get at them, but it's a lot more difficult than it used to be. Go on.
I was at the training ground end of last season, and in the past I've been a bit kind of... I don't know Mikel very well. I've met him before, but I don't know him as a coach, as a person. So I'm just reading things. And I went to training ground in last season and saw him, and I was hugely impressed with what I've seen that he's created there. He's bringing back the old Arsenal kind of feel about the training ground. Emery had taken all the pictures down in the training ground and de-Arsenalised it. The history wasn't there for the players. He felt that he wanted to take that pressure off the players. I'm the opposite of that. I think the players at that level, you should have that pressure on you, and because that pressure holds you in good stead when the pressure's on the pitch. If you can cope with all the stuff going on playing at a big club, then you can do it on a pitch. If you can't, if you think, oh God, I've seen a big picture of Tony Adams or whoever it is, Ian Wright, and that intimidates me, then you're not good to me as in that dressing room, because you'll fold when it comes to the big time. So you need to be he's done all that. He's brought all the old players he wants them to go back for a cup of tea when they're passing and all that, which is, it's a bit awkward. You kind of go, you don't want to be that old guy who's turning up going, all right, lads, doing well. You don't want to be that guy. But you can go back if you want. He's encouraged that. And what he's doing with the staff and the members of staff in all departments, to the canteen, to everything, there's a really took me by surprise, real togetherness. It reminded me how it used to be with all the other technical stuff and the advances in football, but with the old school kind of feel about the players and everybody being together. And that was the biggest thing I took from that day and I thought, things might get better results-wise now, and look at them now, they're top of the league.